Welcome, Mr. Hausman. How was your flight today?
Yeah, it was amazing. I got stuck in the middle seat between two crying babies and a toddler kicking my seat from behind. But it did bring me back to the days when my kids were little and my life was a total disaster. So thanks for the memories, airline.
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. No Vacancy with Glenn Hausman. I, of course, am the Glenn Hausman that we're referring to. It'd be weird if I had another Glenn Hausman on this show, though I would like to get one on there. I know there's a famous Australian swimmer named Glenn Hausman that's a heck of a lot better in the pool than I am, and probably looks a lot sexier doing it too. So let's try to get that to work out. I also want to thank all you guys for listening, and remember, I'm here. I'm writing 2 columns a week for hotelmanagement.net. Check those out and follow me on Twitter at Traveling Glenn. Couple of G's in a row, couple of N's in a row, and you get notified when new shows are being posted. And please, oh please, make me proud. Put 5 stars rating for me on iTunes. That would make me feel really great. And of course, I really want to know all of your comments, positive, negative, what you want to hear about the show. Email me, glenn@rouse.media. And once again, I want to thank all of you for your incredible feedback on the show. I'm running into you at conferences. I'm running into you at the airports. I'm even running into you in restaurants, and you guys are telling me how much you like the show and what you would like to hear from it in the future. So it's been great. And, you know, one of the things that I really like doing most about the show is getting to talk with my colleagues in the industry. And I'm not talking about the second half of the show where I get in-depth interviews with people, but I like having the mix of friends and coworkers that participate with me every once in a while as part of my, as Mad Magazine would say, usual gang of idiots. And I've got one here who's not an idiot, but really one of my good friends. And that is Jeff Polly of Endpoint Multimedia, who coincidentally produces the show. Jeff, how are you today, man?
I'm doing good. How are you going?
I'm doing really good. So excited to have you be a part of this. So,
thanks for having me.
It's great, and we've been talking about this for a while. And thanks so much for bringing the production qualities of the show up to snuff. I know if I was doing this on my own, it would be a total disaster. So having you on board, I know that the only part that's disastrous are the stuff that I'm spewing out into this microphone. So, all right, Jeff. One of the things that's really concerning me this week is what is going on in Europe with this incredible Brexit. I'm sure you've heard a little bit about that.
Yeah, I don't think you could literally be alive right now and not have heard something about it, right?
Oh, I don't know. I know a lot of people that really like to not pay attention to what's going on. I know there's probably a few people out there, you talk about Brexit, and they're like, oh, Brexit, I love it. I'll have the bacon and eggs. That's about as far as they can handle it. But, you know, Jeff, with all of the talk that we're hearing and how the pound got decimated in the last couple of weeks and what's happened to the stock market, you know, I really feel badly for my wealth, your wealth, and everybody else's wealth, but I'm most concerned about how symbolic this is, really, to the U.S. travel industry and the British folks coming over here to the United States of America. And, you know, while it's going to be a great deal for us going over there, and I'll get more into that in a minute, but I'm really worried about markets, particularly in Orlando. Jeff, I don't know if you realize that, but 1.7 million people came from the UK and visited Florida last year alone. And that was about 40% of overall European visitors and 15% of all of the visitors to the state. That's pretty serious numbers right there, don't you think?
Yeah, and, take it down to a personal level. I actually have relatives that are in the UK, and they own a timeshare in Orlando and go there every year religiously. And I'm quite positive now that they might have to cut down their vacation and spending money because they're just their pound won't go as far as it has been.
I mean, that's a huge drop, like 10% in just a couple of days. And I really feel badly for these travelers, and I feel extremely badly for everybody that makes their living in the state of Florida when it comes to tourism, because the fact of the matter is these types of people and all international visitors spend more money and stay longer than the typical American visitor. So you can't really just look at it as 1.7 million visitors coming to the country. It's more like 3 or 4 million people in terms of spend when compared to what Americans are spending their money on. And I think that's going to be really tragic for the state of Orlando, for the city of Orlando, and the theme park universe, and the hotels and restaurants and mini golf courses and all of the other attractions down there that live and breathe because of a good part of these UK travelers coming every year. You know, and one of the other things I'm really concerned about is what does this mean to the rest of the world, and how it's going to affect us in the future. Now, you'll hear some of the politicians talking about, hey, you know, well, it's a great deal to go over to the UK right now and visit, but every single person that chooses, instead of vacationing somewhere in the United States now because they perceive the UK to be a good deal, and they're going to go over there instead, that means they're not spending their money in American hotels. They're not spending their money in American restaurants. And I think that's going to make the problem doubly poor. Yep. So we can't, right? Absolutely, right? So, you know, we can't look at this issue as a very one-sided thing, that this is really great for us. We are in a global environment, and it's really important for us to be able to go back and forth without these financial hardships and without it being really very difficult. You know, another thing that's really concerning me now is a sense, Jeff, that I feel like this is just another step towards us returning to the isolation politics that we had previous to World War II. And, you know, you as a history student back in college know very well that those policies had a direct effect on us winding up getting involved in World War II later than we should have, which probably cost us more money and more American blood, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, even in the last 50, 60 years since World War II, you know, globalization to me has become way more important than ever before in society, especially with, you know, the invention of the internet and how closely we are connected, not just in business and trade, but our personal and daily lives. I mean, you know, back in the 80s, we used to have pen pals to write to.
Yes.
And now I can see their daily life. So, you know, globalization is, to not embrace it, I think, is a mistake all around.
I agree, and I find it weird, this dichotomy that's happening. In one sense, in the virtual world, we're all kind of coming closer together. But here, in the real world, the bricks and mortar world, and I use brick and mortars very specifically because there's a lot of talk about building walls, both real ones and philosophical ones between us and other countries. And I think that's a huge mistake. And I think for folks within the hospitality industry, if you care about the hospitality business and you want to put the business of travel first, which means more money and career success for each and every one of you, then I think it's important to take a look at which political candidates that are running for president are going to be focused on having an open world with better free travel borders that make sure that more people could come to the United States, or those ones that want to cut that off and have that isolation tendency.
Yeah,
one of the things,
you know,
right, go on.
One of the things that I read about the Brexit and the travel industry, because, you know, I travel professionally, but I'm also an avid personal traveler. I love to, you know, explore the world as much as I can. And I was reading, you know, a really poignant article about this that said with the regulation that the EU put in for airlines, significantly reduced airline tickets for the rest of the world. And now that that Britain is going to be leaving the EU, we might lose that, and we can expect airline prices to, you know, increase probably across the board, which is very concerning to me, both, you know, professionally and personally.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's a huge concern. And what about this whole notion? We have one of these political candidates out there talking about putting an end to the U.S. visa waiver program. Jeff, are you familiar with the visa waiver program?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for those of you out there who are unfamiliar with this program, essentially what that means is it allows travelers from countries such as France, the UK, and South Korea to travel here without a visa. If you've gone to Canada, if you've gone to the Caribbean, if you've gone to the UK, you know that you don't need to get paperwork done ahead of time. If you're going to China, you've got to schlep all the way to a consulate. For example, when I went to China, I had to spend a day going into New York City, paying a big fee, filling out a lot of paperwork, and then coming back when that visa was approved. That's 2 full days of my life put into that. That's enough to put off a lot of people and have them not want to travel. And it's the same thing to when we want to have people come to the United States. You need to make it easy. You need to make it free. And big folks, big pundits within the hospitality industry are preaching against this. I don't know if you're familiar with Jonathan Tisch. He's the chairman of Lowe's Hotels Corporation, but also happens to be a big supporter of U.S. travel. Jeff, do you know him at all?
I'm not sure I do,
That's all right. I know him, and he's somebody that I'm going to be getting on the podcast in the next couple of months to talk about these very specific issues. He is one of the most incredible people that I have ever met when it comes to promoting the hospitality industry. He has a hotel company. It's not one of the big guys. It's not Starwood. It's not Marriott. It's not Hilton. It's not any of those. It's a small company. A lot of folks haven't even heard of Lowe's Hotels, but he finds it his responsibility to really push travel and the state of travel, and he's worked at very, very high levels of the government in order to make sure that things like the visa waiver program have been a success. Now, he spoke at the NYU Hospitality Industry Investment Conference at the beginning of the month, and he said a lot of things, but one quote in particular I think really resonated with me. He said that it was not long ago that we saw the same mentality as a reaction to 9/11. He said in relationship to this isolationism that we're starting to see here in the country. But we learned that pulling back from the rest of the world is not an option. Adopting a Fortress America mentality did us much more harm than good. And that's why I'm concerned about the fear-mongering that's going on over there. And that's why I'm concerned about us cutting ourselves off from the rest of the world. People love Americans when they meet Americans. And if we want to get rid of hostility, if we want to get rid of anger, and we want to get rid of the potential for terrorism in this country, I think it's absolutely imperative that we have more mixing of people. It's easy to hate some guy halfway across the world that you don't know. But if you sit down and you have a conversation with them and you have a meal with them, suddenly they're a human being and you realize they're just like you. Right, Jeff?
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, end of rant. That was exhausting. It's a Friday just before our July 4th holiday vacation, and it makes me think about how wonderful this country is and how great it is and how concerned I am that there are some people out there trying to tell us that this is not an amazing country, that this is not a great country. My family, Jeff, came here in the 1920s and 1930s running from a Europe that was falling apart, running from a life and death situation to come and find life and prosperity here. And I was going to say if I thank God every day, but I'm not really a religious guy. But I thank my family for taking on that challenge and for coming to America and creating a situation where I am allowed to prosper, where I am allowed to take care of my kids in a way that I'm sure that my grandparents and my great-grandparents never even considered. So think about this over the holiday weekend. What is America actually mean in its place in the world? And what can you do to make sure that we are a lightning rod for good instead of controversy? What we're doing in order to pull down the barriers between all humans on this planet instead of putting up those proverbial walls. That was pretty heavy stuff right there.
Super heavy, Glenn. I don't hear that much heaviness from you all that often, so it's nice to hear.
No, yeah, that's very true. Except for my 45-minute diatribes I go off in hotel rooms from time to time when we're on the road. But that aside, hardly anything. And of course, those long speeches that I take at meals and on stage. But other than that, never have a point of view or complain about anything. But, Jeff, I am psyched to have you here today because we have a brand new segment on the show, and you're going to be leading us through this. And as a special occasion, I know we've got some special music for our new segment on awesome travel apps that you absolutely need to have while on the road. Let's go to that segment.
Our business expense allows $40 each for dinner. I plan on grabbing as many miles as I can.
Okay, you gotta fill me in on the miles thing. What is that about? You're talking about, like, frequent flyer miles.
You really want to know?
I'm dying to know.
I don't spend a nickel if I can help it, unless it somehow profits my mileage account.
So what are you saving up for, Hawaii? South France?
Not like that. The miles are the goal.
Top of the list.
You know, this is starting to sound like a real radio show here with all of the producing and stuff you're doing. So thanks for that segment there.
Hey, we work hard on it, right?
Yeah, for sure. All right. So let's go through this. Now, I understand that we're going to be talking about the top 6 travel apps that you feel that every traveler absolutely needs to have while on the road.
Yeah, you know, Glenn, I've been traveling my entire life as a military brat. I was born overseas, lived overseas for a good portion of my life. Travel is in my blood, so much so that the profession that I took has kept me on the road for the last 15 years. And with today's technology, it's just gotten easier and easier and easier. Last year I was in Italy, and it was the first time that I've traveled to Europe where I actually took a mobile hotspot that I rented from a company and had a mobile hotspot the entire time I was there. So I could use maps. I could check my email while I was, visiting a tourist site. And it was absolutely amazing. So that's
pretty cool.
It was super cool, and I think it was like $10 a day to take this hotspot with me and have internet not only for myself but for anyone that was joining me on the trip. So with the creation of all these apps, it's just gotten easier and easier to travel, easier and easier to do business. And that's kind of why we came up with these 6 apps that I think will help all your listeners out with their travel and their business life while they're on the road.
Well, I absolutely love that. And one of the things that I find is we have so much information. There's so many apps out there. It's really hard for me to focus on incorporating them into my lifestyle. So I'm really glad that you found these, and they're going to make my life easier, I'm sure. Let's go with the first one that you think is good.
Yeah.
Now, you organize these in a particular way in terms of the order of how we travel as well, yes?
I did. We're talking about road warriors. We're talking about professional business people going out to different meetings. So I kind of organized it in a way that you would use it as your meeting going on a traveling business trip or a sales trip.
Nice.
The first app that I came across, and I think it's pretty important because a lot of us need to protect our data. A lot of us need to consistently worry about who is snooping around what we're sending over Wi-Fi. And all of us that are road warriors, we use public Wi-Fis. On our business trips, we could use 3 or 4 different public Wi-Fis in a day easily.
Yeah. And
you never know who is snooping around on that Wi-Fi, trying to take a look at your passwords, trying to take a look at your, any confidential information that you have. And a lot of us, I don't think, realize that they can do that.
Right.
There are snoopy people that will log onto a Wi-Fi, sit in a coffee shop, for example, and they can access your computer if you're accessed onto that Wi-Fi, which is a little scary.
That's a lot scary to me, and I'll tell you what, I'm very well aware of this particular problem, but I think like most travelers, I just pretend it doesn't exist and go about my business, even when I'm giving the constant warnings, signing on to this network says others may see you. I just totally blow that off. So you've got a solution for us, huh?
Yeah, so this app is called Opera, and Opera is available on iOS and Android, and it's a VPN client app. So
what does that mean?
So basically what this does is when you're routing all your internet traffic through a VPN client, it will encrypt all the important data and render it useless for the would-be bad guys.
Awesome.
So instead of broadcasting Wi-Fi through your coffee shop or everything like that, using a VPN encrypts this data and allows you to still use the coffee shop, but if you're running it through an app similar to Opera, which I found to be the best VPN client for smartphones and tablets, you can rest assured that your data is safe.
Nice. I love that idea. And I had a previous job where we used a VPN. I think that stands for Virtual Private Network or something like that.
Correct.
Right, and I love this idea of finally being able to protect your data on the road, because seriously, I don't need anybody knowing how many pictures of cats I look at in a single day, right?
I know your cute, furry cat picture collection quite too well, and yeah, it's important to keep that protected.
I'm thinking for this year, for the second half of this year, I'm going to branch out to all baby animals, because I think that'll be a good way for me to go.
I understand. I'm a dog man myself.
Yeah. All right. So Opera, VPN. I think what we'll do is we'll put some of these into the show notes as well, so the folks listening can have a chance to download them for yourself. All right. Number two.
Number two is called Screens, and it's pretty much as simple as that. One of the things that I've always run into when I am traveling is I don't necessarily have access to all my machines. I'm a computer tech guy. I have desktops at home. I have a computer at home. I have a server at home. I've got my laptop, and then I've got my phone and my iPad. And sometimes I need to view, document, or basically do work from that home server onto my phone and my laptop. And Screens is a phenomenal way to remotely connect to either Mac or PC from anywhere you have an internet connection. And
I love it.
Yeah, and it's super simple to set up. And one of the cool things about it is you can take. It's not just a screen sharing app where you can view your information on your other computer, but you can also move all your files from any computer that you're sharing to an iCloud drive or your Dropbox account, and that makes them available on your phone or your iPad.
I can't tell you how many times it's happened, because I haven't kept track, but I'd be like, if I only had that file at my house, that would make my life a lot easier. Or I can't believe I forgot to bring that particular document with me. So that'll eliminate all of those problems and make your life a whole lot easier, it sounds like.
Exactly. If you need to get access to a presentation before this big sales meeting that you're having with an app like Screens, which it's a little expensive, but I think it's worth the while if you're going to be using it a lot. It's going to make your life easier.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what is it, about $20 or something?
I think it's $20,
like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not so bad. And I'll tell you, there have been times where, like, I have to do a speaking gig and I'm about to go on stage the next day, and I'm like, I think I want to add this last minute thing. And instead of having to redo the entire slide and try to remember, I could just go to an old presentation, copy and paste it in, and boom, suddenly I'm a rock star going about my business.
Absolutely.
All right, that's great. All right, moving on. Number three.
All right, so we've covered what I think you need to use, what I think you need to use when you're at the airport on your public Wi-Fi. You're getting ready for your meeting and you need some files. This app, I think, is fantastic because I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a city or at an airport I don't know and I need to park. And I need to find the best parking. I need to find reasonable parking, close by parking, and this app, appropriately named Best Parking, is an app that'll tell me that. It will. It goes over 100 cities and 115 different airports, and, and it'll find a suitable parking spot wherever I am, close by and reasonably priced.
I love that. And you know what really annoys me, and I only have driving into New York City as a comparison because most of the time when I travel, I don't do this. But I have needs to drive into the city regularly, and it drives me bonkers when I go and I pay somebody a day rate for $50 in New York, and then I'm walking to the meeting, go around the corner, and find out I could have paid $35 for the day rate.
And this app, Best Parking, solves that for you.
I love it. You still get a great spot because, to me, there's nothing better than a good parking spot. But since they're all the same, you really just want to fight this one on price and a great solution. What's it called? Best Parking?
Best Parking.
And it's available for free. Again, we'll put this stuff in the show notes for you. All right, moving on to number 4.
Number 4. So we've parked. We're ready for our sales meeting, and we're meeting new people. And the next app that I came up with was something that I'm guilty of, but I tried.
Oh, yeah?
I've been using it for a while as well. We get a business card, and we're handed a business card, and we just normally put it into a stack of all our other business cards.
I've got a stack that's actually 12 feet high. I'm going for the Guinness Book of World Records of highest stacked cards. And my second highest stack, I think, is room keys. But those business cards really add up. And then I have great intentions to do something with them, but I never do. So what does this do for me?
So this essentially, if you're diligent about it, we'll take that stack of business cards that we all have and digitally scan them into your phone. And, it used to be even 2 years ago, you would get this digital scan and it kind of stores in the phone. Well, not anymore. Cam Card. Scans the business card in, and it automatically imports that contact into your phone's contact list.
Sweet.
Yeah, and it takes the entire business card, the entire bit of information, and throws it right into your contact list. It also links up with Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So you can reach out to these people and start connecting with them immediately. And to me, it's an invaluable piece of technology that really will help you, utilize all those hours that you spend connecting with new people.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea because I can't imagine over the course of my career the number of people that I had an opportunity to foster a relationship with, and then they just became another name in a big pile that I don't look at and then kind of forget about after a while. So I'm left wondering how many opportunities I've left behind by not having something so simple in my life.
Absolutely, and Camcard takes that to the next level and allows you to be more productive with these networking hours.
Super. All right. After this conversation's over, I think I know what I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'm going to be cam-carding my way through this giant pile that I have here.
Good idea. Good idea.
Yeah, I know. All right. Next up, what's number 5?
So number 5 is an app called Charlie, and Charlie takes Camcard to the absolute next level. And it's an app that I've found recently, and I think it's fantastic.
Oh, yeah? How so?
So Charlie is a business meeting app that will basically, it integrates with Google, it integrates with LinkedIn, Salesforce, Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and it takes all the information from all those sites, and with the person that you're meeting, develops a bio of that person. And it's amazing. I mean, if you type in the name Bill Jones and you're connected with him in these ways, Charlie will take all the information from his company's breaking news, recent blog posts from Bill.
Wow.
Our common connections. It'll talk about the competition that Bill has in his industry. It'll comprise common passions. Let's say if we're both world travelers, it'll let us know that. If we're both skiers, it'll let us know that. It also has company stats, so it'll go from Salesforce or LinkedIn and let you know, that, let's say, the company has 77 employees, and that's up 24% from last year, and they've raised $32 million in venture money recently. So all this information is comprised together into one screen, and before your meeting, you can read this bio, and I just cannot tell you how much more impressive you'll look to someone if you're able to read a quick bio on them and get all this information and then show up with the meeting and you look prepared.
That's really awesome, and looking prepared, I think, is half the game when it comes to getting to a meeting, and that's one of the areas that I think people have not put enough effort into, is really getting to know what that potential customer is all about, to get to know their ticks and what they're up to in the company. But what I really love is that common passion thing, because if you could really find out that you both love the same sports team, for example, that's a great way for you to be able to connect with that person on a more emotional and personal level than just having that business kind of relationship of here's how I can help your business, right? Amazing.
And that's exactly what Charlie does, and it does it from my experience. It does it extremely well. As long as you're diligent in it and enter the right information. But when you have that big important meeting with that big important person, it's going to go a long way to have Charlie right by your side, helping you out, teaching you about that person.
Yeah, and I could tell you, man, if as a when I have my journalist hat on, to be able to pull out something like that with somebody that I'm doing an interview with, either in print or here on the podcast, I think that will make a big difference to them. I think it'll make them feel closer to you. It'll engender you to them, and will help create better conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been using it for a little while because it's there've been similar apps in the last 2 years that have come out, but I think Charlie's kind of really stepped into the forefront, and it seems like it's the most user-friendly and easy to use. So that's why I'm recommending it.
I love it. Really, really great, really practical, really information, and unfortunately, we've only got one more to go. So what do we got with number 6, Jeff?
One more. So this one is important to me because I use this a lot. And I know a lot of people may not know that it exists. Basically, you're on the road. You've just closed the big deal. And they send you an email with an important document to sign. And you've got your phone, you've got your tablet. Well, 3 or 4 years ago, that literally meant that you would have to go track down a fax machine or a scanner, do some, clerical work, take a lot of time out of your day to get that important document signed back to you. Well,
how about just this week? I was doing some expense accounts, some expense reports, I should say, and it's like I have to take everything, scan it in, put it onto a separate drive, put that drive into my computer, copy and paste it, and then get it off. And every time I have to sign a W-9 or a contract for a job, it's like so laborious and a pain in my butt.
Exactly. So this app, Hello Sign, is a electronic signature app. And basically what it does is it allows you to sign any business document 100% legally on your iPhone or your iPad and send it through email.
That's pretty awesome.
It's pretty amazing. The reason why I picked Hello Sign, I think some people might have experienced that Adobe has their own version of this called Adobe Sign. Adobe Sign's rather expensive, and what's really cool about Hello Sign is if you sign 3 documents a month, the app is absolutely free. And then they have a little bit more pay and unlimited features and all that. But literally, you can if you're using this every once in a while, 3 signs a month, you can sign legally binding electronic documents and ship them off to whoever you need to while you're on the road.
Amazing. I love it. So, great. I got to tell you, Jeff, I think you've saved me a lot of stress and heartache, money, and helped me with building relationships today. How awesome is that?
Great. I hope everybody gets a little use out of one or two of these apps. They're not going to be for everybody, but they certainly help me out while I'm traveling the world.
Right. Awesome. So I want to thank you again, Jeff, for doing that. And before we move on to our next segment of the show and hit that commercial break, if you want to learn more about my opinions on why I think isolationism is the wrong way to go, read my column in this week's hotelmanagement.net. I'll link to it in the show notes, called Fear and Loathing in America Will Ruin Your Business. I write 2 columns a week for Hotel Management as their editor-at-large. I love doing that. Catch my stuff in USA Today. And, of course, tell your friends and family about this podcast out there, and hit me up at Traveling Glenn on Twitter and on Instagram. And all that kind of good stuff. Make sure you send your comments to me, glenn@rouse.media. And, Jeff, if folks want to know more about Endpoint Multimedia, how do we find you?
You can find me on, your classic social media pages at Endpoint Multimedia, but also endpointmultimedia.com. And yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun.
For sure. And, Jeff, we're going to be moving in right after this commercial break to a segment that I recorded a little while ago, but I'm excited to finally be giving it to you folks to listen to here over your July 4th holiday weekend. Rupesh Patel, I'm sure you're familiar with Patels in the hospitality business. Rupesh is a hotelier and a CEO of a hotel company, but is also an entrepreneur and has a lot of other different things that he does regularly. One of the things that struck me about Rupesh, Jeff, is that it's amazing the capacity he has to do so much work so well. But the other thing he does great is he puts out interesting blog posts. He puts out interesting things on social media that makes you stand up and say, I need to pay attention to this guy. So we're going to talk to Rupesh. We're going to learn all about how he's built the skill sets necessary in order to be successful in multiple disciplines at once. It's a segment we could all learn from, and we'll all be better for having heard. So I want to thank you again, Jeff, for being here. I want to thank all of our listeners for being here. And we'll be right back after this word from Best Western. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now at Traveling Glenn. No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Get a $50 Best Western gift card when you stay 2 separate times. Plus, enjoy breakfast and free high-speed internet. Rewards members get even more when you book direct at bestwestern.com. Visit bestwestern.com for terms and conditions. Each Best Western branded hotel is independently owned and operated.
I got with Mr. Rupesh Patel of 3 Hospitality and SmartGuest.com. How are you, sir?
Excellent. Happy to be here.
You're a guy that a lot of people don't know in this business, and typically I have on CEOs, big hotel corporations, those kinds of things, but as I've gotten to know you over the last year, you really struck me as very symbolic of the type of guys that I see coming up in this business, the people really taking over that represent the future of hospitality. And I think that's pretty cool. You're in the hotel business. You're in other businesses. You're a true spirit of entrepreneurship going on.
Yeah, man. For me, I like creating things. I like to be creative, and that's my background. I actually have a design marketing background, and so kind of implementing that into our hotels is pretty powerful, and we see a huge change.
Yeah, I think so, and that's pretty amazing. Hold on, I'm having trouble here. I'm only getting a reading on the one mic. Let me pull. Yeah, so true spirit of entrepreneurship. The way that the hospitality industry is changing, it's interesting to me. You came up in the hotel industry, right? Well,
I grew up in it. Yeah. At 11 years old, my parents sold their Indian grocery store business, and they said, "Let's go buy a hotel or a motel in Florida." And so we moved from Texas, where I grew up, and so I've seen my parents really just bust their butts, and so I've taken that mentality of working hard, but now working smart, and that's what I love sharing. I said, do things in a smart way. Smart people do smart things, and they work hard at smart things.
Right? All right, let me back this up a little bit. You have parents that were not originally in the hotel business. That's unusual. What was their journey like coming to America and then opening an Indian food store? And then how do you go into the hotel business? I guess peer pressure.
No, they had a friend in Florida that already had a motel, and they're at the end of their I guess their term as far as the business that they built up, and they were ready to sell. And what was the next thing? It's like a gas station owner that now wants a hotel, right? It's that story that you hear all the time of this liquor store owner that saved all his money up and now he has a hotel and now he's growing. And you see a lot of these stories where they started from really nothing and now they have a huge empire, which is
right.
Cool.
And
I love those stories.
Right. Your parents probably don't have a huge empire. Probably, I'm just guessing based on, this is what we call profiling right now.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, first generation Indian Americans, they come here, they create a foundation, they look after family, and it's very focused on that one or two property centric model. Guys like you grow up in the business and have a very different attitude, right?
Right. You know what? Growing up, I didn't want to be in the business because I saw that it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
and so that's what I do differently with my kids, and I have 3 kids. I make it fun. So when they're out of school, when they're home that one day, I take one of my kids because I can't take all 3, but I take one of them and just bring them to work and kind of show them all the different aspects of the hotel business or any business, because I kind of do a few things, so they see what I I talk about it at home too, so they see the different aspects and make it fun because it's work, but it's also fun.
How old are your kids?
5, 7, and 8.
So you're really getting them inculcated, so to speak, at a pretty early age.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like entrepreneurship is something that you have to teach and instill into your kids' values at an early age, because if not, they think they have all this without working hard for it.
Yeah, right. That's a really interesting point, because I think I'm grappling with that with my family, right? I have 2 kids. They're both 11 years old. And how do we teach them grit? That's what my wife and I worry about all the time. They're growing up in a world where they have more than they need or even want. When their birthdays come around, I don't even know what the heck to get them because they already have everything, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, I share a lot of stories with our kids that maybe a lot of parents don't share about issues that we have with, hey, whatever it was at one of my companies, and I share that with our kids because they now understand, and I teach life lessons every week about simple things. Even just one idea that I taught my son last week, or my kids. I said, when your kids whine when they're younger, they said, "Hey, I want juice. Can I have juice? Can I get some juice?" And at a point, I said, "Listen, let's teach them something about this juice thing, right?" Mm-hmm. So instead of them asking for juice every single time, I said, and my eldest name is Shiv. I said, "Shiv, mm-hmm. Think about this. How about you make a smart decision and you decide yourself when you want juice and if it's the right decision to make." And now he's thinking in a different way instead of just asking for it, but really thinking for himself, right? And so some of those values that you got to put into your kids, like make some decisions, make some smart decisions, and that's what I like teaching.
That's a smart approach, because I think I see so much in society right now, different from when my generation came up in the 70s. We were kind of just left out there to do whatever we wanted to, right? Dad with the windows in the car rolled up, smoking a lot, although that kind of stuff. But now we've pivoted and gone completely the opposite direction. And I think parents today are fearful of the world and want to protect their kids from everything, absolutely everything, right?
They do. It's a scary world out there. You don't know what's going to happen, and things change all the time, but you can't be afraid, right? When you start being afraid, you start closing in on yourself, and you don't grow, and you don't share your ideas and some of those good characteristics that you have of yourself, and you don't pass it on to the next generation,
right?
Which are your kids.
All right, so let's take this step by step, because I am the furthest thing from an entrepreneur, right? Yeah, I like to think I could be or would be, but really I just want to complain on a microphone. That's really what my passion is. I don't have a passion for business, so to speak,
sure.
Right? So tell me a little bit about how you get started. What are those first initial steps like, and how do you get into the right mindset to not just be a guy that goes and gets a job and punches the clock for 30 years.
Right. And we've all had jobs, and I've worked in the corporate environment, and it's not fun, especially after you see the freedom of time. And there's a bunch of books, and I can't think of them now, but I think one thing that everybody wants and needs is the freedom of time, right? and if you had enough time in the world to do anything you want, what would you do, right?
Right.
And when you're working for somebody else, or you don't have that freedom, right? And that's what I looked at, and I think it was a 4-hour work week, or one of those books that just said, you go do what you want. And I love listening to podcasts like yours, and every week that's what I listen to in the car. I don't listen to, for the most part, I don't listen to a lot of music.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm all podcasts these
days. Yeah, it's all podcast, leadership, marketing. I'm big on the e-commerce, sales and marketing. It's the powerful words that you use to really attract and repel people. And it's marketing. At the end of the day, it's always marketing. That's what I would say.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So how'd you get started? Your parents, they came to Florida from Texas. They opened a hotel. I guess you had to learn every single job in that hotel.
I did. And so we're pretty lucky for what we have. Parents, my wife's and my parents both are in the hotel business. So, we're lucky in that way. And so we both moved to Atlanta. We both got professional jobs. I was working for General Electric Power Systems, and she was a meeting planner for a company out there. And we had this opportunity in 2002 where we had a couple properties in Daytona that just kind of needed some help. And so we said, hey, let's both quit our jobs. And my wife and I both quit our jobs. And the next day we were living in a hotel for 2.5 years.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we lived inside at the hotel.
All right. What a leap of faith is that, right?
I was scared.
Yeah, of course you are. Change is tough no matter what. I get scared of change. It's human nature, I think. Even though it's not healthy for us to stay static, we must continually change to evolve as human beings. It's a difficult thing to do. So how do you convince that little voice inside your head that's going, don't, and ignore it and do it?
Fear is what stops most people. And actually, a lot of people have great ideas, and that fear inside them, that what if somebody says something bad about me, or what if I can't accomplish it? And
what if I fail?
Right. And failing is a huge part of that fear. So most people don't take that leap because of that reason. And if you don't, you're going to die empty, and you're going to feel like, I wish, or you're going to tell those stories to your grandkids, I wish I did that. When you should just do it right now. So if you have that idea, or if you have that inkling to do something, do it, get it started. Don't stop, and don't let little hurdles stop you, because those are the things that are going to make you stronger as a person, right? So don't let that fear come through. And if you don't like your job right now, take small steps and then take that big step. So it's not just, you don't just go into something all in,
right? And
sometimes you do, and those people get lucky, and you never know. I've always heard those great stories about, I dropped everything, I took every penny out of my savings, of course, right. and I'm up to debt in here, and look what I have now. And there's also stories where I lost everything, and now I'm starting from zero, right? So you take smart steps, but you take them. If you're I always tell people, if you're working in a job, take some small steps to get that freedom that you want, and in life, people want different things. So for me, I want the freedom of time, right? More than money, because money's nice, but the freedom of time is really valuable to me.
That's so paradoxical to me, Rupesh, because you got to put a lot of time into these multiple businesses that you have. So how do you actually put all that time into it to get time for yourself to do whatever you want?
So I think it's productivity. You can have time for everything in life. You can have time. People say, I don't have time for the gym. You do have time for the gym. A lot of people say they're not a morning person, or they're a night owl. I feel like, personally, this is my opinion, I feel like it's in your head. Mm-hmm. If you had a 5:00 flight out tomorrow morning, typically you wake up before that alarm clock goes on, right? Because it's in your head. So if you wanted to wake up in the morning, put it in your head that you want to wake up. If you want to be successful, put it in your head that you're going to be successful. A lot of people put that negativity in their head, which drowns them from being really successful.
All right,
right?
so
and I actually shared this last week. I was talking to our employees, a group of our front desk agents, and I said, hey, we're going through a transition where we are looking for a GM, and right now we want you guys to step up. But by the way, these changes are what's going to make us stronger. And
that's right. That's what editing's for.
I lost what I was going to say. What were we talking about?
These changes are going to make you stronger.
That.
Hold on. I'm going to hit pause. So you're really talking then about creating a system in your life to make sure that you have that time. But before we even pursue that a little bit more, one notion that really strikes me is you are a really upbeat, positive guy. You've got the right programming from genetics that make you that way. Me, I'm also, I think, an upbeat, positive guy. When I get hit with a crisis or something, I feel it deep, but I only feel it for a short period of time, and then I rebound. And I guess you're like that too. How much of that help propels you, and then what if you don't have that in you?
So let's go to the first one. Yeah, it's in me. I want to. This is what I was going to share. So last week I had a meeting with a few employees at one of my properties, and I said, we're going through a change, and we're going to need your help and support and all this stuff. And dang it! It's going to come back to me now because it was really it was powerful the way I shared it. And damn, I just had it. I should have just.
You're getting too much in your head.
Yeah. I'm going ahead of myself. All right, what were you talking about?
All right, so try again. All right, Joe, we're starting again. You might want to go back and edit a lot of this in 3, 2, 1. So what we're really talking about is using time the right way, creating habits in your life that make you be what you want to be, not relying on what you think you are, that, I'm only a night owl, I can't possibly get up at 4 a.m, that kind of a thing.
It's in your head. If you want to do something, you're going to do it, right? If you really want to do something, you're going to do it. And those people that are successful, and I shared this story last week, I said, everything that I've wanted in my life to right now, I've gotten. Like, seriously, and it's powerful.
Right.
Like, everything I've dreamt about that I wanted, I have right now, right? And there I have plans and ideas for more things, and I'm going to get them because it's in my head that I want it, right?
And you're willing to put in the work and the effort to do that.
Effort. And whatever it takes, I'm going to get to that position or wherever I want to be, mentally, physically, all of those things. So it's how you put that in your head, right? And then take it from there.
Right.
I believe that.
Yeah. All right. So you and your wife, you're living in a hotel for 2.5 years. You didn't own that hotel at the time.
It was our family.
That was your family's hotel. All right. So I guess you bring it back to life. You do all sorts of great things with it, and then you've got to say, well, we're done with this. We're going to get into the business on ourselves, right?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
And so we kind of just took over for family and said, we'll take over this side, and we got lucky with it. We said, we're going to take this portfolio of hotels that we have and really take it to the next step, and that's what we did. We took those properties that were going down, and we really turned them into award-winning properties. And right now we have a property across the street from the Speedway, which is
in Daytona.
This is in Daytona. We were one of the top properties in the brand last year, and we're pretty proud of that. And we have nothing. We have really nothing, at the property, but what we have is really good, engaging team members. And in 2008, when things went down, I spent a lot of money renovating, like a lot of hotels do. They put money back into their property, and we've done that in the past. But one thing that I never believed in was customer service, because people always talk about, you should provide amazing service even in a downturn, and you're going to benefit from that.
Right.
I never believed in that.
Really?
I always thought
that seems very contrary to what your essence is.
So I had to change my focus, right?
Right.
I said, we've tried a lot of things, and we've won a few awards on marketing maybe, but we've never focused on our team and our employees and really making it guest-centric. And as soon as I started learning about those ideas, it changed my business and the way I run it, right? I wasn't putting out fires now. I was really setting up a team that was going to do that goal that we had.
How do you put into place something that creates that manifestation of you now not having to put out fires? How do you get that engagement?
I feel like it's planning, it's ongoing training. A lot of hotels, what they do is they train once a year. It's probably at the Christmas party, like 15 minutes before the Christmas party. And they say, hey, good job this year. Let's learn about HR. Let's learn about this or that. But, what we started doing is training our entire team, including housekeeping and everybody, getting them on board into a room and talking about stuff that was important, like how to treat customers really how to go above and beyond, and what are some things that we can do as far as asking why are they here, why are they staying with us, and really getting to know our customers and finding out what their needs are, and getting the team on board as far as engagement, right? You go to a hotel and they might say, are you checking in? Of course you're checking in, but what about those extra questions like, what brings you into town, Mr. Smith? Or can I provide a recommendation for dinner tonight? And I always say hospitality or service doesn't cost you anything, right? And so we started training our entire team on this service idea about really making it guest-centric and really focusing on that guest no matter what brand or segment of hospitality you're in.
Right.
Just really providing that extra value. And so in a downturn, we were doing well. And so we saw a huge switch in our customer base, and kind of reviews meant a lot. And this is right when TripAdvisor and some of these websites were popping up, right? And social media. And so we just started seeing a huge increase in our customer feedback, which was awesome. And then you saw engaged employees, and you saw a boost in morale and some of the tools that we put into place. And so it was a process. It was a learning process. We tried a lot of things. Some things didn't work, but we got a good sense of what really matters to our guests. And so I've taken that on as far as other businesses. And like I said, I never believed that service meant a lot until I started reading these podcasts. And Shep Hyken is a guy that I really admire.
Right.
He talks a lot about service and how to really treat guests right and what to do. And I love his magical moment part where it's that magical moment that you connect with that customer. And you could do that in your life too. You know, if you're talking to somebody, it's that magical moment of listening. And that's one thing I'm learning in the last year or so. Really listen.
Right.
And so that's what I'm trying to improve on. Really listening instead of talking.
Right. I think that's a really hard lesson for a lot of people to learn. And I can tell you as a fact, I've been to a lot of cocktail parties, so I know this. But yeah, I think that's the key of what I try to do in my job as well, is just listen. Because if you listen, then you really hear what's important. I find a lot of people have an agenda, and they'll sometimes only hear but not listen what they want to. And I think that makes it a little bit harder for them to be successful in their businesses.
Absolutely. And, I would be the one always talking and, saying, here, this is why I'm good and this is what I can do for you. But, in this new marketing or this new social world, it's really providing value, and the value of our customers is listening to what they want. And any other business too, it's that learning of what that person wants. And most people want to talk about themselves, right? Most people want to be heard.
Yeah.
You want your name to be said. So, Mr. Hausman, how are you doing?
Right.
You
Still makes me feel weird though every time.
People love to hear their name, right? And people love to share. So when I ask you about your family and things, you just go on, and I love hearing that. And so I'm learning to listen more, and I think that's a powerful. I think it's a powerful trait as a serious.
I think so, and I think you're right. Actively being in a conversation is really important. I try hard on when I'm out there to try to remember things about people's lives and just try to consciously make sure I ask them questions about themselves, because far too often it's easy to just let yourself be the driver, but people really don't care to hear about you. They want to talk more about themselves and do what you said, be heard.
Right. And these are the ideas, of being successful. It's really listening, productivity. How do you really set your schedule and timing? And there's a lot of stuff that I've learned in the last couple of years that have really changed, the way I think. And I wasn't always like this. And I like waking up early and all those things. But it's that mindset that you have to put yourself into. If you want something, go out and get it. Put in your mind that you're going to get it, and you're going to go through hurdles, but it's part of you growing, right?
Right. All right. We're really on the verge of becoming an Oprah Winfrey show here, but I think you're absolutely right, and I think we spend too much time worrying about the processes that we are out there. I'm just putting together this thought now, and not enough time thinking about how you could change everything in your head. What are you bringing to the table here? What are you thinking about in terms of actually getting stuff done, as opposed to just going through the motions of getting things done, right?
Right, yeah.
I think that what it interests me is you got this whole business. You've motivated your team. You got scores in the low period of time, and still you're going to go out there and go do other businesses. At what point do you say the hotels are not enough with me? I've got to go ahead and, be an entrepreneur and own other businesses.
So, for me, I like I said, I like being creative. So how can I take that creativity into something else? There's a million things you can do in your life through business or whatever you love to do. And so creativity is my part. And so how can I be creative? How can I provide value to the world as through my creativity? I'll sit in my lobby for 2 hours just listening. And, a lot of hoteliers don't do that. They don't sit and find out how people are acting in their space or what people really want. They just guess. They make these decisions they just assume that somebody wants something. So every 3 or 4 or 5 months, I'll sit in my lobby for 3-4 hours and just figure out how people are interacting, right? And it's powerful because you learn so much.
What's something that you were very surprised to discover?
I was surprised in the mornings, and we changed this, but I was surprised that when guests came down for breakfast, there was really no huge interaction with our team. And they weren't asking all these relevant questions, and they weren't connecting with our guests. And I said, hey, you guys are the superstars here, right? They're the first people that our breakfast hosts are the first people that guests see after their stay. Mm-hmm. And so how can we get our team to engage more with our guests, right? And so we kind of changed some of those things as far as every employee at my hotel has their own business card, including housekeeping.
Interesting.
When have you heard of that, right?
No, never.
But this boosts their morale, right? And it also gets them to be a part of the team because now they have a part of the hotel, right? They feel a part of the team, and they have a tool to give out that they're proud of. Remember when you got your first business card?
Yeah, of course.
How did you feel, right?
I felt so good. I still have some.
Yeah, well, you gave it out to friends and family. You're proud of your job, right? And so what we've done is just given our team these tools. And so every morning now, our breakfast host says, here, let me help you with an extra cup of coffee. Do you need directions to get anywhere? Can I offer you a newspaper? By the way, here's my personal business card. Mm-hmm. If you need anything, I'm here for you.
That's amazing.
And by the way, hey, you can also throw in, hey, I'm in the running for Employee of the Quarter. I would love for you to share my name on social media or on a review. And so it gets, if you've done something, it's the law of reciprocity, right? If you do things for other people, it's going to return in a positive favor.
I think more importantly, you tapped into what might be the most important part of the hospitality experience. The one thing I've learned in my whole career is you're good, he's good, the other guy's good. Everybody's pretty darn good at running some great hotels. I rarely have any problems, and I rarely dissatisfied with a hotel where I stay. But you are getting the fact that it's that intimate, personal connection, that human element that really is what stays with the guests in the long term and keeps them coming back.
Right. We hear it every single day. It's not the beautiful lobby that we have, or it's not the really ultra plush bed that we have in the room. It's our people. And I never, like I said before, I never believed in customer service. I always thought, hey, if you offer a low rate in a really nice room, that you're going to get those customers to come back. But it's not. If you look at our reviews, if you look at our scores internally, it's always about the people, and that's what I've really focused on. It's our people that are driving our business. Our people that are making our money. It's our people that are bringing customers back to our hotel. And this is for any business. Improve the way your team engages and talks to your customers, and find out what they want, and find out what their needs are. Because I'm pretty sure you're guessing, and you're not really learning more about them.
Hey, I would think even maybe have somebody come in that could teach you those kinds of skills. Not you in particular, but I meant the line staff. There's a lot of people that don't know how to interact with people. There's a lot of people that don't understand the importance of looking directly in somebody's eye and being focused and giving them 100% attention. When you do that, it makes a huge difference.
It's not only that; it's the follow up. Mr. Smith, how was your stay? It was great. And then they give you your folder or your receipt, and you're on your way. But if you ask that extra question, Mr. Smith, what can I have done? What could we have done to improve your stay? What's one thing that we could do to, for you the next time? Extra questions, get their feedback before they leave, because they might have said, "Oh yeah, it was a great stay. Oh, by the way, my AC shut down at night." it didn't make their stay bad,
right?
But they didn't share that with you, and now that review that they could have a negative feedback online. So if
or somebody goes in that room tomorrow and has a problem with that.
Right. And so asking questions, really getting to know your customer or your guest is powerful. You'll learn a lot. You really will.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting notion. I don't think we spend a lot of time talking about this types of issues. A lot of times it's like, what deals am I making, or what amenity am I going to put in, or what new design spec do I have to follow? But for an industry that's based on people and human connection, I don't see enough of that.
Yeah, with express checkout and some of these high tech stuff, we're losing it. I think a lot of hotels are missing the boat, and there's a low tech way. I mean, people say business cards are done with, right? It's connecting with people through our cell phones, but what if you don't know that person? What if you don't know that front desk agent, right, or the breakfast toast? You're not going to just say, "Hey, let's pass information through our cell phone." Yeah. You're going to give them something. So what we realized is, on reviews or any online feedback, I never see guests or I never see employees' names mentioned. And so I said, well, why are they always giving reviews about the front desk person was helpful? But how do you get your team involved? Is by getting their name mentioned,
right? Making
them feel really good, right? And that's powerful as far as that whole process. So we want our team to be a part of that whole review process and the customer feedback, because like I said, at the end of the day, it's your team that's driving business. It's not that room, because your room could be we all have the same rooms these days, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think everyone does a great job, so you got to make that big difference. So how do you get your corporate culture to shift fundamentally like you've done?
So I always say is they didn't come to us this way. We've really trained, and so we do it often. Every 6 weeks, we spend money. We spend money into training, and it shows. Right? They're a part of the team. They know our stats. They know what we believe in, and so it's ongoing training. A lot of hotels don't do that. A lot of businesses don't do that. They just say once a year we'll train and that's it. But I think it's ongoing. There's so much that comes up during the month or that quarter that you should be talking about and sharing with your team, and really building a team that's going to go along with you. And I always tell everybody, I'm not going to be here forever at this hotel or this business.
Right.
But the time that we're here, we're all going to learn something, and it's a life lesson, really, at the end of the day. Everything's a life lesson.
Yeah, it really is. And you just have to be focused enough to understand that it's a life lesson, instead of just letting it disappear from your existence and not growing from it, right?
Absolutely.
It's a constant struggle trying to grow every single day. It's really tiring.
Hey, change is good. People don't like change, but change is good.
Yeah. I think to go back to what we were saying at the beginning, change is scary. Taking chances are scary, but that's really what keeps us alive. That's what really propels us to the next level. That's the thing that I think we have over the rest of the animal kingdom, is that ability to really learn and take it a step farther and continually improve ourselves. No matter how old we get, there's always things to do, always lessons to be learned, and opportunities to be had.
Absolutely. If you think that you got out of school and you're going to stop learning, you're missing out on life, because every day, if you're not learning something new, and if you're not connecting with people through either it's through face-to-face or social or something, you're really missing out. There's a huge world out there people that can help you. There's people out there that are successful, or maybe less successful or more successful than you are, but that are willing to connect, because I feel like we're humans. We all want to connect with each other, right? As far as just on a basis where you want to learn, and everybody needs somebody, right?
Yeah. So all right. So I guess the lessons we're going to take away from here is you've got to get in the right state of mind. Yeah. You've got to connect with people. Be very present when you're with those people, and really set your sights on what your goals are, and you will find the time to do it. You're right. I've slipped from going to the gym because I don't have time, but I do have time, and I was able to do it for a long time because it was a priority for me. It made a difference in my life at that time. And you guys could do that out there. There's nothing holding you back. It's all in your head, right?
It is in your head. You're not a morning person. There's no such thing as a morning person or a night owl. It's in your head.
Yeah. So step out of yourself. Become something different. Push those boundaries, and you too can make a difference, not just to yourself, but to your family and friends that are around you.
Absolutely.
All right. On those words, I'm going to say goodbye to Rupesh. Rupesh, what a great time this was.
It was fun, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, really good stuff. Sorry to get so psychological on you guys, but you had it coming. We're going to continue to push the boundaries of what we can do on a hotel industry podcast, and we will all learn together. And that's really what I love about doing this show, bringing a message out to you guys, spreading the love, and helping you find pathways to success. Thanks for listening so much, and I'll be back next week. That is unless I decide to quit this world and go start my own business and my own hotel. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm motivated. I'm out of here. See you guys next week.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at Traveling Glenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.